companies even going bust, all of that, it's just been a mad one still. So it'd be good to see the economy finally recovering and doing well.
High grade sipping on me liquor. Girls them a come, them a want, them a take her. Bad man, me a come in, me a wanna take her. Girls them a come, them a want it on the liquor. I steady sipping on my liquor.
The S&P 500 is on another bullish day. Making a run from $464 all the way up to $468. Made a new high on the daily chart, but if we have a look at the monthly chart, it looks like it's on its way up to potentially making an all-time high on the monthly, basically breaking the resistance around $479. So if it gets above the $479 resistance and holds it above that, 2024 could be looking very sweet, guys. This could really take off to definitely head up to 500 and beyond, but for now we just need to get to that $479 resistance. Go back to the daily chart, it looks like it's definitely on its way up. And looking at the MACD, it's re-established that golden cross. It had a dead cross and it looked like the market was going to start heading down, but you know what, a lot of demand came into the market and pushed this way above that, because a lot of people were looking at that $459 resistance. There would have been a lot of sellers thinking, you know what, it's at resistance. And when there were initial signs of sellers in the market, it brought the price all the way down from $459 all the way down to $409. A whole $50 move, bearish move, which is a lot, guys. There was definitely a lot of sellers eyeballing that area, but since the bulls have basically taken the price way beyond that, all the way up to $469, and it looks like it's holding, and this golden cross is re-established, is most likely on its way up to that $479 all-time high resistance, and there's a chance that the price might test it, head up, test that resistance, and come down a little bit and potentially bounce around this area, basically be range bound between $459 and $479. It's most likely that the price is gonna test that $479 resistance by the end of 2023. Possibly the first quarter of 2024, we might see a range bound movement within S&P 500, bouncing between $459 and $479. And part of the reason why we might see that range bound movement is that, seeing as this price has broken what was the resistance of $459, the fact that it's broken it, this is now potentially a support area. Whereas there was a lot of eyeballs looking to see this line as a resistance before, there'll be a lot of eyeballs seeing it as a support, because old resistance, when broken and held, becomes new potential support initially, and then when it's tested and it holds as a support, it becomes an established support. So when the price heads back up to, or when the price heads up to this 479, comes back down to 459, that will pretty much be the initial test of the 459 level being the support. So guys, just watch this space. The S&P 500 is doing really good things. In fact, the market in general, I believe the market is basically recovered and it's going to start really taking off now. So 2024 in terms of finance is going to be a good year, in my opinion, just because everything's doing well, and a lot of companies, a lot of stocks will start doing well as well, because a lot of investors will start coming back to the market saying, you know what, the last couple of years has been insane. The market's been going down. The whole AMC, GameStop saga, all of that. Remember all that? The market has just been crazy and volatile in that sense. There's been a lot of sell-offs. There's been a lot of companies even going bust, all of that. It's just been a mad one still. So it'd be good to see the economy finally recovering and doing well. And then looking at the Dow Jones, again, the market for the Dow is doing really well, just like the S&P 500. Since it broke that resistance at $556, it's been really taking off, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. And looking at the MACD as well, I did this in my last video, whereas the MACD was very strong. The golden cross was very strong. The bullish momentum is really strong. Looking at the histogram is actually picking up again in terms of volume and momentum. So guys, there's really a big demand push. Usually at this point you think that, okay, well, the institutions, everybody has pushed the market up so much, and around just at the the top point is where a lot of retail investors will start getting in, thinking, you know what, there's a lot of green candles, let me get in. And then usually the market starts tanking from there to a certain point, and then it recovers. I believe at this point there's still a lot of institutions getting in. You know, they're looking more long term, and again, looking at this, it's already reached this resistance. It looks like it's going to break out of this on the monthly, so wait to see if this price stays above $370 by the end of December, by the new year. Then this could potentially be a good breakout, and this could see the price go sky high because there's a lot of momentum behind that breakout. But again, Q1 of 2024 will really be the decider of what's really going on, whether it's a true breakout with these markets, or if it's going to be a false breakout, and then the price could potentially head back down to effectively for the Dow Jones, head back down to roughly around this point of $328, or if you want to go all the way down to where effectively it found a really good support, potentially actually a really good support, then it could potentially head all the way down to $286. But I highly doubt that it's going to head all the way down to $286 because there's a lot of momentum in the market, but you never know. You know, and the reason why this is a good support is because, again, it was previously a resistance, and it proves the theory of what I was saying, where old resistance becomes new support. This was previously a resistance, and it broke out of it, came back down and tested it, and it held as a support, sending the price all the way back up to this level of $370. So if I have a look at what's happening in some of the stocks that are in the S&P 500. So looking at AMD, a lot of these stocks, a lot of these companies, a lot of these markets are actually just breaking out key resistance points, you know, so we're yet to see a lot of like bullish momentum keeping these prices moving upwards, which is partially why the S&P 500 is doing so well. Google is doing well as well, but it looks like it's in a range bound at the moment. It's been going up, but right now it's just range bound between the levels of 140 and 115. You know, it's just been moving around that, and it's been an interesting one since Google had their stock split, you know, earlier on in the year around July, and the price came down a little bit, only for it to recover because of course, it's Google. It's gonna always recover. You know, investors are very confident in Google, and it's not going anywhere. So the price has recovered. So it basically just needs to get back up. Eventually, I believe it will break the $140 resistance and head up to basically the all-time high of 150. And yeah, so guys, I'm currently invested in Google. I definitely loaded up whenever the stock split came. You know, I was just like, you know what, let me buy this out like it was Black Friday, as well as a couple of other stocks like Amazon. Got those when it was on stock split. So as you can see, generally speaking, guys, the market is on a good recovery, and it looks like it's basically upwards and onwards, which is a very positive sign. So looking at the article, will recession accompany bull markets in 2024? Analysts project S&P 500 nearing 5,000 mark. This particular statement, so analysts foresee a high single-digit return for the S&P 500 as tracked by the SBDR Trust, with a price target ranging from 48.50 to 49.50 as we approach the closing of 2024. So this time next year, they're expecting it to head up to pretty much around 5,000, which is roughly around so if I head back to S&P 500, around 5,000, which is roughly this 500 mark, just like I was saying, guys. So 2024, I believe, is going to be a really good year. There'll be a little peaks and troughs, you know, as the market pretty much cycles between the peaks and troughs, but overall, I believe it will eventually get to 500 mark, and then next year would be really good. But anyway, guys, this was just an update to the S&P 500 and a couple of other markets. If there's some markets you guys want me to have a look at from a technical point or even fundamental point, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to do a video on those, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, if you've not already done so, make sure you guys subscribe, and of course hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
High grade sipping on my liquor. Girls them a come, them a want, them a take up. Bad man, me I come in, me I wanna take her. Girls them a come, them a whining on the liquor. I steady sipping on my liquor. Then I tell her me